Last time on Dragon Ball Z.
When it comes to my body, I'm a high volume split motherfucker, and there's no other way for me to train.
It's pretty obvious that Chris doesn't really know anything about full body training because he's unaware that you can still do high volume training on a full body routine.
So going to the gym and doing only one exercise for your hamstrings is not enough because the hams have two different insertion points.
Again, why can't you do these exercises on a full body routine, and why do you think it's impossible to match volume on a full body routine? So a few days ago, Chris Jones uploaded a video where he explained why he does not do full body routines, and in that video he claimed that he cannot train at high enough volumes on a full body routine, and overall he just generalized, claiming that they're an inferior method of training compared to split routines like upper-lower or push-pull legs. Now, of course, I disagreed with this. I made my own response criticizing him, and I just brought up the relevant science about training volumes, frequency, and how it relates to muscle growth. And now Chris just uploaded a video today where he made his own response to my response video. And, you know, I have to give some respect to Chris for doing this. Most of the people I criticize just cuck into the shadows, and I never hear a word back from them. So I respect Chris a little more as a person for, you know, being able to engage in civil discourse and debate. But with that said, as is typical, we are going to just go through Chris's video and rebut each of his claims point by point.
So Vegan Gains pretty much disagrees with my claims about full body workouts. Now, first and foremost, I feel like Vegan Gains nitpick my video a little bit. You nitpick my video, Vegan Gains.
I wouldn't call it nitpicking. You made some pretty big errors. For one thing, you claimed that you can't train at high volumes on a full body routine, which you can. You can train at the exact same volumes on a full body routine as you can on any split routine.
When it comes to my body, I'm a high volume split motherfucker, and there's no other way for me to train. I don't care for another way to train. That's the only way I'm gonna fucking train. High volume, going hard, and adding more weight to the bar. See, I can't do a full body workout because I need different areas. I need different angles and different exercises to really hit as many muscle fibers as possible, like I told you.
And you claimed that full body routines aren't for very serious lifters. They're more for people who just have busy lives and only have enough time to hit the gym maybe 3 days a week, or they're for people who just want to look good when they go to the beach.
And when it comes to a typical full body program, now, different trainers make it in different ways. I actually have a full body program that I've put some of my clients on. You know, for the ones that can only give me 3 days of training, and they're pretty much novice, a little bit under intermediate. You know, so like I said, I'm not against full body. I'm just against it for me and people who want results like me. But full body does have its place.
Which makes no sense because when volume is equated between routines, there should be, at the very least, no difference in muscle growth between routines, and if you look at the overall evidence, higher frequency training produces more gains. So on a full body routine where you train 3 days per week, you should in the long run gain more muscle than on a split routine where you train each body part twice a week.
I never said full body workouts were not good. I clearly said I've put people on them and they work. I just don't like it for me.
Okay, Chris is trying to backpedal on a few of his statements here. He just very clearly stated in his video that full body routines are inferior to split routines.
So I think full body is great for athletes. I think full body is great if you want to be fit and strong. But if you're looking to be a bodybuilder or look like a bodybuilder, or get that extreme level of muscularity, I don't really like full body. You know, only time I put my clients on full body is if they tell me, Chris, I'm busy, I'm in school, I'm a single dad, whatever the fuck. I can only get to the gym 3 days a week. I'll put them on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, full body split.
Also, this argument isn't about whether or not full body routines are adequate for muscle growth. This is about your claims that full body routines are inferior to split routines, which just isn't the case. Again, if volume is equated, then full body routines should be at the very least just as good as split routines. But when you consider that full body routines come with higher frequency over the long term, chances are you will grow more muscle mass on a full body 3-day-a-week program than on a push-pull legs or upper-lower where you train each body part twice per week. So what Chris has to do is show contradictory evidence, which I can almost guarantee he won't do.
Also, I do understand volume. Motherfucker, I've been doing this for a while.
It's pretty obvious that Chris doesn't really know anything about full body training because he's unaware that you can still do high volume training on a full body routine. I'm not even sure if he really understands what volume is.
I want to be a good trainer. I've been training since 2010.
Okay, Chris, in your original video, you showed a complete lack of understanding of what volume is, what total weekly volume is, and especially how frequency affects volume. You said something to the tune of, you cannot perform as much volume on a full body routine because you can't do as much volume per body part per training session, which is a misunderstanding of what volume is, what total weekly volume is, and how frequency affects volume. You didn't understand how training at a higher frequency compensates for the fact that in a full body routine, you do less volume per body part, but over the course of the entire week, you end up doing the same amount of volume per body part.
Going to the gym, doing some barbell curls is not enough for your arms. Like, we should all know by now that a bicep is not fully contracted unless the shoulder is up. So I like to do barbell curls or some dumbbell curls, some hammer curls. That works both heads of the arms. And then maybe a concentration curl with my hand up and I curl my hand slightly behind my head to get that full contraction and a finish off the arms. That's 3 exercises right there.
Chris literally doesn't understand what total weekly volume is and how frequency also plays a role in muscle growth. So let's take a look back at the study I mentioned earlier. In this study, the people on the body part split did all of their biceps training on a single day, and they did hammer curls for 2 sets, barbell curls for 2 sets, and preacher curls for 2 sets. The people on the full body routine, however, did hammer curls for 2 sets on day 1, barbell curls for 2 sets on day 2, and preacher curls for 2 sets on day 3. So both groups performed the same weekly volume, but the people on the full body routine trained biceps more frequently. Well, what ended up happening is the people on the full body routine grew significantly more muscle mass on their biceps.
That's all I do in my free time, playing video games, and when I have downtime, look up the latest studies. Very familiar with Alan Aragon for, nutritional advice, Brad Schoenfeld when it comes to volume.
You listen to Brad Schoenfeld? You mean that skinny twink who barely has any muscle mass? Oh shit, no fucking wonder your training advice sucks. You listen to these skinny weaklings. That's a joke, by the way. A lot of people criticized me for being skinny, so I shouldn't give training advice, so don't take that seriously. By the way, Chris, if you do any PC gaming, we should play Black Ops 4. I'm looking for some people to play zombies with.
I love this stuff. Even some Lane Norton.
Lane Norton is a genuine retard. The guy actually believes that Big Macs are as healthy as apples, and after I challenged him to a debate about heart disease, he just cucked into the shadows and made up some stupid excuse because he knew he would just lose miserably. But in any case, if you've been researching any of these topics for a while, Chris, you shouldn't be confused about these basic training principles. My main issue with your statements is that you're confused about how how frequency affects total weekly volume. You think that just because volume is low in, for a given body part per session, that means your total weekly volume is low, which isn't the case. Again, if you're doing high frequency training, that means chances are you're going to still train at adequate volumes, and you can equate volume on a full body routine compared to any split routine. And you're not acknowledging the importance of frequency. You just think that, oh, well, 2 per week is good enough. Well, no, not for everybody. Some people need to hit each body part or specific body parts 3, 4, maybe even 5 or 6 times per week.
I understand volume and frequency. Like for an example, if I do a chest day on Monday, 30 sets. Let's just say, that's ridiculous, but let's just say 30 sets, right? And then you hit chest Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 sets each. Not only will you get the same volume, but you'll probably get more results because you're getting more growth stimulus. Every workout gives you a growth stimulus. And like you said in your video, you know, after about 2 days, you should be good to train that body part again. Your body's only in the growing phase 2 days after the training session. I know this.
Again, Chris, in your original video, it sounded like you didn't understand this because, again, you had this weird idea that because per session, the volume for each body part is lower on a full body routine. That means throughout the entire week, the total volume is lower, which like isn't the case. So it sounds like you're changing your position around a little bit. You're not actually admitting you're wrong, but it does sound like you're changing your position based on new information. So right now, the topic of contention here is just your statements about full body routines, you claiming that they're inferior for a number of reasons. Now it looks like you agree with me that because total volume is equated, you should grow as much muscle. I recall you saying in your original video that with full body routines, it's easier to burn out, overreach. Well, again, if you just understand how to vary exercise selection, volume, and intensities, that isn't a problem. So as long as you're capable of structuring a program intelligently, that's not a downside to full body training. It just requires a bit more intelligence.
One thing you said that you should have researched, I go to my Physiques of Greatness YouTube channel. Yes, I used to be the bro split guy. I used to train every body part once a fucking week. I used to be that bro split guy. Okay? Shit, since 2014, I really haven't done bro splits. I've been doing 4 days on, 1 day off, where you hit pretty much every body part every 5 days. That's close to twice a week. Then I started doing 3 days on, 1 day off, similar to push-pull legs. A lot of people do push-pull legs, so I guess a lot of us are training wrong. We should all be doing full body, right?
Okay, so Chris is getting off topic here. Again, the topic of contention revolved around Chris's statements that full body routines are inferior to split routines. He, of course, has no way of proving that. Again, if you look at the data, as long as volume is equated, full body routines are at least as good as split routines in terms of building muscle mass. And chances are, if you're training at higher frequencies, that will produce the best results over the long term. But now Chris is creating a new argument where he's stating that he's following a routine where he's training twice per week, which is the minimum recommended amount of frequency for muscle growth. So I'm kind of unfairly criticizing him. Well, I never claimed that training twice per week is inadequate for muscle growth. Depending on your particular training needs, that might be perfect for achieving the right amount of volume and frequency, but that's not going to be the case over the course of your entire lifting career. Like at some point, you're probably going to want to increase frequencies to 3 days per week, 4 days a week, maybe certain body parts you need to hit 5 or 6 days per week. So again, Chris just isn't acknowledging the importance of frequency here and how over the long term, it does have a significant impact on muscle growth.
And I've been doing 6 days straight, 1 day off. Every body part twice a week. That's honestly plenty. Hitting everything twice a week is plenty. You know what I mean? 3 times a week is great, but twice a week is plenty.
Again, Chris is just creating an entirely new argument that we were never having. We weren't arguing about whether or not training each body part twice per week is adequate for muscle growth. We were originally arguing about split routines versus full body training. And you have no evidence that full body training is inferior to split routines. I think at this point you agree with me now that in terms of building muscle, like full body routines are at least as good as split routines. So like, why are you even bringing this up? Okay, so it's like, I agree. Training each body part twice per week is adequate for building muscle, but this is really, like, the general tune of this, like, conversation. It's about what's optimal, not about what's adequate. And I'd argue for the vast majority of people, training at higher frequencies where you hit each body part at least 3 times per week, like on a full body training routine, that will give you better results in the long run than a split routine where you train each body part twice per week. And especially when you consider individual needs, certain people might need to train at even higher frequencies. So again, you're just not acknowledging the importance of frequency here.
What you fail to understand, vegan gangs, is that the more advanced you get, the more stronger you get, you will tax your body. Okay? And if you're in the gym, like for an example, right, my leg days, right, I hit legs twice a week. Now, if I wanted to hit legs with my full body workouts to get more frequency, still, I gotta hit 3 wheels on my front squats to feel anything. 2 wheels ain't shit for me. Now, maybe that's for you, that's something. But for me, I don't even feel anything until I get to the 3 wheels. Right, so I cut my volume down to maybe 3 sets of front squats or some shit, 3 sets of leg press or some shit, right? Dude, I'm still fucking tired. Now I gotta bench press, I gotta do weighted pull-ups, I gotta do curls and all this shit. No, that's just too much, man.
Okay, Chris, if you can't do squats and then do bench press, then you're just a pussy. But honestly, you just don't understand training adaptations. Like, it just takes a few weeks to get used to this sort of thing. When I first went from bro splits to full body training, it absolutely exhausted me and I felt insanely sore throughout the entire week, but it only took me like 2 or 3 weeks to adapt. And then I could do heavy squats and then heavy bench press and I was fine. And even if you do get to an advanced level where you're lifting really heavy weights, again, you can structure a full body routine intelligently where you don't have squat interfere with your bench press. You just vary exercise selection, intensities, and volume throughout the week. So these different exercises don't interfere with one another. So again, it sounds like you just don't have any experience with full body training to begin with. And secondly, it still sounds like you don't understand how to structure an effective full body routine.
But that's besides the point. Like I said earlier, we can agree to disagree. I just got one question for you, and I'm gonna let this shit go. You're the full body motherfucking advocate, right? You're the full body advocate, right? Okay, so why the fuck 3 months ago, upper body workout? Vegan gangs, hey, you're the full body guy, man. I don't want to see you doing no.
The reason for that is because I can only train upper body right now. I have some knee, hip, and back injuries that are preventing me from training, and it's requiring a lot of rehab work. This is all stemming from a surgery I had, and it's basically worked its way up my body. I had surgery on my left knee. It affected my flexibility, so I had to squat differently because I had to squat differently. It affected my hips, which ended up affecting my other knee, and it also ended up affecting my back. So I'm trying to focus on the knee surgery, improve flexibility in certain areas, and it's just taken a really fucking long time to rehab, so that's why you only see upper body training on my channel recently. So Chris's video goes on for a while longer, but I'm not going to bother responding to it, not only because it would take an insanely long time, but he just goes way off topic, so I'm just not going to bother responding. But I do appreciate Chris making a response. I have a lot more respect for the guy now because he is willing to have a debate and open discussion about this, unlike a lot of people I've criticized. So I've got to give props to Chris. And if you like this video, maybe consider supporting me on Patreon. I have some funding perks you may find interesting. If you're looking for clothing, then check out the Vegan Gain store. Also, be sure to subscribe to my gaming and live streaming channel. Last time I streamed Black Ops 4. And as always, keep making those vegan and high-frequency gains.
Beef. What a relief. When will this poisonous product cease? This is another public service announcement. You can believe it or you can doubt it. Let us begin now with the cow. The way it gets to your plate and how.